Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is the voice of Aggroed. I am joined by my fellow co-founder, Matt. Matt, do you want to say hello?
Good morning. Good morning.
It is March 26th, and it's 9 a.m. Eastern. And as part of our rotating Ask Me Anythings, this is the time slot. It's being recorded, and this is the voice recording currently happening. And it's a pleasure to be here. I got to tell you, this has been a rather extraordinary month, just in terms of growth and what's happening. So we've had, on average, 300 plus signups per day and 65 spellbook purchases per day. We're not all the way through March, but that's over 7,000, nearly 8,000 signups. We'll hit 8,000 signups for March in this month if the current trend continues, and we'll hit just around 2,000 spellbook purchases for the month. And that brings us, that's like a 10% increase just in March for both of those numbers. It's right around there. So that to me is really exciting. The other thing that I saw today that I've been keeping my eye on this. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for the Splinterlands card market cap, the secondary market cap of which we don't have any control over. It's a decentralized marketplace, but there's a bot that's been tracking it, and it hit $10 million. So I can't tell you if it'll go up or go down, but I can tell you I was personally thrilled when I saw it hit 10 million. So kudos to everybody that owns cards, that has been collecting, that is participating. You know, that to me is a giant milestone in this business. We try not to talk about market cap too much, but that's a really exciting day. And I don't mean to imply anything else other than it's really exciting, and I'm so stoked for this entire ecosystem. In terms of my personal work that's ongoing, I'm in like my fourth round of legal. So I wish I was in a position where I could tell you, hey, it's done and everything is good and smooth sailing. But I've had to go back and forth with this platform a number of times, and I'm just not there yet. The legal is going a lot slower than I thought it would. So I had meant to be done last week. I meant to be done this week. So I'm now getting into slowly lagging behind. But I think it's going to be okay. It's going to be, it should be fun. If I don't get it into April, I'll be like punching myself daily as penance. But this project has marketing components to it. It has a bunch of different components to it that I'm not really able to talk about yet. But I know players have been waiting for something pretty big. This is a big thing that we have been working on. So I'm a little bit stuck in legal limbo, not being able to share too much detail, but I hope next week, maybe it's the week after, I don't know, but I'm in like round 4 of legal trying to get this whole thing done. So that's where we're at. Matt, do you want to talk about product development and any kind of like big picture stuff that you want to get out there?
Yeah, well, there's an exciting announcement to make, which is that the iOS app has not only been submitted but has been approved and is now in the App Store. So you can download Splinterlands from the Apple iTunes Store and play on your iOS device.
Holy crap!
So
I
that has
didn't
been
even know that.
a very long time coming.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, I'm sure the
Yeah,
guys
it
are
was
stoked.
approved like super fast. I couldn't believe it, actually.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, it went. Let's see. We should get like pictures out and a post and all this other good stuff. You guys, that's like
Yeah,
the.
well, I wasn't expecting it to be approved for like another week, so I was a little like not ready. But yes, we will get pictures out in a post and all that definitely. But since we're on the AMA, well, figured I'd announce it now.
Yeah, that's a hell of a leak. Congratulations, everybody. This is an exciting start. Anything else you want to add other than wow, that was a giant undertaking, or just what are you most excited about for the app, or why do you think that's going to be beneficial or matter?
Yeah, I mean, I was, initially not all that excited because my assumption was that most of the players that use mobile, we're going to use the mobile web app anyway, as there's some features that or a number of features that are enabled there that are not enabled in the iOS or Android apps, like the ability to purchase with different cryptocurrencies or the ability to use the app within a crypto wallet, embedded browser and all that stuff. So I was like, it's nice to get the Android app and iOS apps out, but I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. But I've been surprised at actually our numbers coming from the Android app in the Google Play Store. They've been pretty strong. I don't have them in front of me, so but just the numbers of purchases and the numbers of signups coming from there, especially because we're not doing any direct promotion of that, was encouraging. So if we can get the same from or even more from the iTunes store, then that would be great. And then the hope and expectation is that a lot of those people will eventually migrate over to the mobile web app or even to the desktop site, just to take advantage of the additional features and kind of really get more involved in the whole product. But yeah, it's great to be in all the major app stores. And then we're just going to keep, that's also a big deal of like getting all that stupid stuff, all the little changes that had to be fixed for the different devices and all the submission requirements. So now that that's done, bring more focus back onto the actual features of the mobile app, which, as always, are lagging behind the desktop site.
Yeah, it's like rebuilding the whole game, right? Like we gotta go do everything. Oh, and not only that, yeah, it's like Fred Astaire and I forget the woman's name too. They would talk about like with when you're the woman dancing, you have to do all the same things as a man but backwards and in heels. And I kind of feel the same way about mobile development of like you have to go do all the same things as desktop, but it has to fit on this tiny screen and show just as much information and be way more intuitive. So I don't know. Kudos, guys. Glad to have that out and glad to see that really going forward. So congratulations. All right. Any other than the mobile app? Any other major announcements you'd like to make?
Well, definitely no other major announcements, but we're working on. We're just working on a ton of stuff. Obviously, Guild Brawls, which are getting near completion, and I assume Cryptomancer is going to talk about. Call Me Tim, along with me, has been coming, up to speed more to help us on the back end side.
No, Matt, you're cutting out. We may have lost Matt. Am I coming in clearly?
You lost me.
Oh, now you're back. Am I coming in clearly to everybody, or was it Matt that we lost? Yeah, I'm coming in clear.
You're good for me.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Matt, I think you're still here. Do you want to try that last sentence one more time?
Yeah, I've been having internet issues. I think like every 5 years or so, the squirrels chew through our cable wires and they have to rerun them.
Well, that would be more than once every 5 years, because that would be like once or twice in 6 months for you. Damn squirrels.
No, well, the other times it's like if there's storms, which is always a problem. But this is like where it just like goes out and in, and there's no storms is usually the problem. But if I keep getting disconnected, I'll call in over cell.
Okay. Well, let's switch over
anyway,
to Cryptomancer for a bit and let him introduce Guild Brawls and sort of talk about that, the first test, and what's kind of happening next year. That sound okay to you?
Yep.
All right. Mancer, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great. You're coming through beautifully. Hey, these are exciting days, not only for the mobile app, but also for Guild Brawls. Why don't you tell us about Guild Brawls, where we're at, and maybe even share, you have like your image of where you're at in the creation cycle. Let's go show the users where we're at and how close we are to really being done here, or at least done with the very first alpha launch.
All right. Yeah, so it's been a really exciting past week or so for Guild Brawls. So as most of you know, it's been in public testing on the QA server, and we invited the Mavericks to give them a try and participate in some test brawls. just kind of take the system for a shakedown spin. And the fact that it's in QA means that the core Brawl system is pretty much finished, and we're not looking to make any more major changes to it at this point. What we're doing now with the public testing is just trying to give it a shakedown cruise. So we want to make sure that there aren't any real big usability problems with the UI, that it feels comfortable and intuitive to use, and also that there aren't any last lingering bugs lurking in things. So I think the testers have been having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad to see that. And we've also gotten some really good feedback from the testers as well. And there have not been any major technical problems discovered. So I'd say the testing has gone really well in that regard. Everything worked the way it was supposed to on the back end. Everything transitioned the way it was supposed to from each step in the process to the next. And that is a really good sign. So I'd say we're very close to being able to launch it for real. Now I'm just finishing up partially in response to feedback and partially to update the UI with a few things that I haven't had time for yet. And as far as the feedback goes, so like with all kinds of feedback, like there were some really great suggestions, and not every suggestion will be implemented and has to fit in with our overall strategic sense of where we want to go with this. But there were some good ideas that have been implemented. So I'm making some additional tweaks to the UI. And really, I think everything's going to be finished by sometime next week. So there were only a couple of very small bugs discovered, and those have already been fixed. And the last little piece of work is to make some UI changes. We're going to add some more tooltips. Hopefully, the tooltips will help people be able to figure out what they're supposed to do a little better. Because I think one thing we noticed in the QA testing was that there's a little bit of a lack of guidance. There were lots of questions about how exactly the process is supposed to work, like what are you supposed to do at this certain step, or how does that feed into the next step. So with some more tooltips, people can have an easier time of kind of discovering for themselves how things work. And then we're also going to change the arena info pop-up a little bit to make that screen look less visually overwhelming to people. And then probably by the middle of next week, I'll have the code all finalized and submitted to Matt, and then it'll be up to him to decide when we actually release it. But I expect a release will be very soon, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, you said that the code was bigger than the last two projects that you worked on combined. So this is not
Yes.
like a light little fun thing. This was a massive undertaking to go get this thing created.
Yes, it sure was. I've been working on this in some shape or form since basically late October of last year, so it has been months in the making. It's bigger than the initial Anytime Tournaments release. It's bigger than Collection Power. It's actually more code than both of those put together, so it is a mammoth undertaking,
Yeah.
and it's gone very smoothly so far.
And the damn thing worked the first time you ran it. This is what separates Cryptomancer out from so many devs, among many things. The two things that I've noticed are like willingness to respond to customer concerns and just like user concerns. Not all devs are willing to do that. And also just like an exceptional attention to detail so that when things actually roll out from Mancer's code, the damn thing works. And it's amazing. So congratulations, sir.
Thanks. And this is only the beginning. This is just phase one for Brawls. After this, we've got some exciting expansions that'll be coming down the pipeline for it. So initially, it'll launch with the new arena building, but over time, we're also going to be adding a shop building and a barracks building with special gladiator cards for it. So that's going to be also a really exciting thing in the next couple months as well.
You know what I want to do? Mancer, can you go? I'm recording my screen, so I can't switch over tabs. But can you take one of the pictures from that the artist just shared, just one of them. Can you share what some of these gladiator cards will look like, or just one of them?
I actually don't have the gladiator artwork
Maybe
myself.
maybe
That would be something for
Chris, can
Nate or
you?
Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Chris can pull one if he's not AFK at the moment. He says sure. All right, so he'll go pop one of those in because I was pleased when I saw this art. All right, questions? Does anybody have the gladiator art? Thank you, Shipley.
Good
Yes,
timing on that
yes,
one.
yes. Good, fair question. Okay, Manser, anything else you want to add, or should we talk to Tim for just a moment, or call me Tim for just a moment?
Yep, I think that's about it from my side. So let's move on to Call Me Tim.
All right. Call me Tim. So this is the second AMA that we're on. Do you want to go share a little bit about what you've been doing and sort of where you're going next?
Sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Yeah, so nothing super exciting yet, but hopefully accelerating towards more exciting things to come. As Matt already mentioned, I've been kind of trying to familiarize myself with the overall code base and made a fairly small enhancement yesterday that touches kind of all the major areas of the app. So that was a good kind of learn the full stack experience, and otherwise just still coming up to speed, coming up with.
Hold on just a second. If you were to go take Matt's code base or Cryptomancer's code base or the code base and just put it into a book, like a standard textbook size book, how many pages do you think that would take up?
I don't know. I would say a fairly large college textbook, probably.
Yeah, so I just want people to know when you say like, oh, I'm trying to familiarize myself with this code, it's not like a 3-page pamphlet. This is like a textbook worth of this stuff.
Yes, it's not a small code base, no, by any means. It's a good sized code base, and yeah, there's a ton to learn. But I'm coming up to speed fairly quickly, so I think it's well organized, well laid out, and it's not been challenging beyond what would normally be expected learning something new. So it's a good sign that hopefully this will continue to accelerate, and I'll be making some bigger changes soon.
Awesome.
Bigger enhancements.
Do you have a pet project or something that you're looking forward to working on or contributing to? Is there something that you and Matt have in mind, or do you know what's kind of like goal number one yet, other than just
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I think right now it's casting a pretty wide net for things that could be done, both that aren't really forward or outward looking features as well as features. So there's work to be done that just helps us continue to scale and et cetera, right? Like so. Right now, it's coming up with kind of what does that big list look like, and then next step we'll be going through and prioritizing it. But I'll probably be working on all of the above at various different points.
All right. Well, thank you. Call me. Oh, go on,
Can you guys
Matt.
hear me?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I was saying that I will probably have him help with the implementation of the first land phase, in Q2.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds perfect. And Q2 is right around the door because April is nearly here.
Indeed.
All right, so I'm scrolling back a little bit, and I think it's time to start answering some questions now. So the first one I see is right at 9 a.m. from Nabonid. Will you add new game modes after land implementation, like ability to conquer land or keeps to gain 10% of tracked income or something like this, so that activity in the game is more attached to the land instead of hanging in the air like ranked tournament brawl battles that take place not in a specific place? So I imagine stuff like that, but I want to make a distinction. The NFTs that you own and that are like your cards, I don't see us creating something that would either break them or shatter them or remove them. I think that there could be specific lands where you guys are trying to conquer it. You don't ever really own it, but you might be king of the hill for a while, where it is competitive, and you do have to, do some things or spend some resources to maintain it. But like your base card, like your castle or your keep, I don't see that getting destroyed by other players. That's your castle and your keep, and we'll create some areas eventually that are more PvP focused. Does that sound right to you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean the map is of Praetoria is not going to be 100% player-owned lands. Like the 150,000 plots will be the majority, but not all of the land there. So then all the rest of the land will be, like game land that can have various things where players can compete and, conquer it and get bonuses and all that stuff. But also that's, we're focusing on getting what we've already planned for the land out first, and we're not really focusing on that stuff until later. But yeah, that's definitely the long-term plan for it.
All right. Polywatt 10 is asking, in the new renting mode, will it be possible to rent an entire collection?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's possible to sell groups of cards together, although there's no UI for that on the Splinterlands website. I think there is on peakmonsters.com, and renting will be the same, where you'll be able to rent sets of cards at a price for the entire set versus individual, and we'll try to incorporate a better user interface for that, at the very least on Peak Monsters.
Doc is asking, any updates on lands? Anything that you want to share about lands as we head into Q2?
I mean, the update is that, we're still hoping to get the first, the first phase where you can redeem the claims for actual land plot NFTs and specific locations on the map in Q2 of this year. It's always possible that there could be delays or whatever, but right now, I think that's doable.
All right. Mad Gall is asking, given the selling rate of Untamed Edition, are you planning a pause before Chaos Legion gets out? Or are you planning to develop Chaos cards together with land updates?
I mean, I think we always, typically do some type of pause. It doesn't go straight into the next thing. But my guess is that there'll be some overlap there. Well, especially because land is going to be an ever ongoing thing. Yeah, we're there's already a ton of work been done on all the Chaos Legion cards and card art. So it's going to be in parallel with land development whenever it is released.
Yep. I can't promise, but it's on my brain, depending on how other things are going, that might end up being another Kickstarter event or not. I don't know. We'll see. Kickstarters are a giant pain, but they're also a big marketing event, which are handy to get new players from outside the ecosystem. So it comes with a cost, but it has some benefits. That's something that we could consider down there. But if we're doing that Kickstarter event, that is part of the time that's in between when we sell out of Chaos Legion and when we enter into the new edition. This month we sold 60,000 packs. So if we keep going like that, we're somewhere around 6 or 7 months left. So it's not immediate, but then again, when we get down to the end, it tends to go a lot faster because now we have less than 30% of the packs remaining. And a little bit of FOMO starts creeping in when you're like, oh, these things are actually about to run out. These cards won't be printed again, and this is my last chance to buy Untamed. And all that stuff starts creeping in, and things tend to accelerate. So we have a little bit of time before we get there, and then we'll have a little bit of time in between. But those are some of the things that we'll consider and get to when we get there. Say is asking question. I'm now lead marketer for the Sign TV token, and Raymond and Bro community wants to hold tournament to publicize it. Could you please add Sign TV tokens as a reward so that I can start one? Do we have criteria for that?
I think it's fine to add it as a token, like an option for payouts and entry fees for tournaments. We don't need a lot of criteria. It's not like we're accepting it for payments. So just message me, DM me about that, and then if you don't hear back after a little while, just bug me again. It should be pretty easy to add in.
Crypto Reaper is asking, question, not to dampen the achievement, but are you planning on releasing a native app that doesn't download assets every time you load? What's next for Melon Man?
We're not really planning on like a fully native app. I think we can, just because that would be like kind of, rewriting the whole thing just to release effectively the same thing. So it's just not worth the time and effort. But I think it's likely we can utilize caching better within the apps that we have, so it doesn't have to re-download the assets. That's just, something we'll have to talk to the mobile developers about working on. But our goal was to first and foremost have a mobile web app.
Oh, you cut out again. Matt? Matt, now you're back. Hello? He's typing now. Yeah, those squirrels are after Matt today. All right, he's going to call back from mobile. Let's give him a second. There's a nice, bunch of users and players in here. Thanks everybody for coming in and participating with the game. I don't know, things are going pretty amazing. All right, Matt, are you there? Do you want to try again?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. All right, JPBS is asking, what kind of items will you be able to buy with crowns? Is it only cosmetics or potions, also cards or packs?
Well, crowns are going to be for the guild as a whole, so it's not going to be something where like an individual player can buy something for themselves, if that makes sense. But it's not just going to be cosmetics. There'll be definitely some guild cosmetic stuff, but the main and initial thing is going to be the guild. What are they called? The gladiator cards that can be used in the guild brawls to gain more, to do better and hopefully earn more crowns. And then there's going to be, other things that the guild can buy that improve things in the rest of the game for all guild members. So sort of like how when you upgrade buildings now, you can get like a discount in the shop. There'll be certain like upgrades or special things you can buy that might give you benefits in land or discounts for other things, or some benefits with some other new features that we haven't talked about yet. So you're going to want those crowns.
Nabadid is asking, question, aren't you afraid that strong gladiator cards will cause weaker guilds to have an even bigger problem to compete with the best guilds?
Well, not really, because guilds are going to be competing sort of against guilds at their own levels, right? So, weaker guilds aren't going to be competing against stronger guilds. They'll be in different arenas and different guild brawls, right? So it's sort of like different levels. So then, if a guild is doing well in their arena level, then they might get enough to upgrade to the next arena level, and then they'd be winning enough crowns to upgrade to better gladiator cards, in order to compete at the next level. And then there's going to be limits to those too. So it's not like, you just have a team. The best guild has teams of all gladiator cards all the time.
Is there a plan to make the URL not say steammonsters.com? I mean,
yes, go to splinterlands.com.
Yeah, you can go to splinterlands.com. You don't have to play at steammonsters.com.
Yeah, we just left that up because a lot of our older players still go to that URL. At some point it'll just redirect to splinterlands.com, but
yeah. And Hive Engine, for you comment about Hive Engine is more or less, it's not going to go away, but we're mostly moving everything over to tribaldex.com. Like brand new users might go to Hive Engine, but I'm imagining most people will go participate through Tribal Dex because that's where all the NFT stuff will be. All right, we're out of questions for the moment. So if you guys have other questions, then feel free to populate those in here.
Did you guys talk about some that I missed?
No,
While I
there
was
there just
switching?
hasn't been that many questions.
Oh, well, I saw Emma McCursey asked about the player avatars.
If he did, oh, I did miss a question. Question: Are player avatars ever going to get an update? I mean, there are a few standard ones, but might it be possible to add new ones or other NFT players create that might be possible to trade, sell, use, assuming they're kept PG-13?
So yeah, I don't necessarily know about player made ones yet, but the plan has always been to add a lot more avatars and like custom ones that you can buy, um, with dark energy crystals or whatever, or earn via various things. Nate actually made a whole bunch of really cool avatars with like little animations or like cool effects, and it's just a matter of priorities and time to be able to get that in.
Cryptomancer's asking, that Gladiator art tease from Chris Roberts is pretty nice. Following up on that, can you talk a bit more about what we can expect of the Gladiators? What kinds of cards will they be, and how will they be different from the card editions we have now?
Yeah, so the Gladiator cards are going to be for Guild Brawls only, so you won't be able to use them in ranked or tournaments or anything like that. And they're going to be purposely OP cards, not like super OP, but they're going to be like better than your normal card. And so it's to be competitive in Guild Brawls, you're going to need to be able to get the Gladiator cards. And we tried to set it up in a way that like even if you're like at the lowest end of the Guild Brawl, you'll still be able to slowly move up and slowly get the cards and and continue to move up through the brawls and get better there. If your players participate in that type of stuff.
And if somebody, and just keep in mind that if there's a guild that's constantly kicking your butt, they're going to eventually move up and out of your arena level. So you're not, and during that time, while you're getting your butt kicked, you are still earning crowns and still leveling up. And that as the most OP guilds move on, even if you've been struggling over time, you're going to get more and more powerful within your arena level.
Yeah, and there's probably going to be, I don't have the details exactly yet, but some restrictions. Like I said, you can't just, maybe it's like one gladiator card per battle, or like, only one, you can only use it one time. Each player can only use one time in the guild war, whatever just makes sense from a balancing perspective. But, it's overall, it's just a cool way to like, have some neat and interesting things in the guild war battles themselves, and have something for guilds to work towards as they level up. I think the plan is also that they'll be able to be, there'll be the 4 different rarities. So there'll be some common, rare, epic, and legendary ones, which will have, appropriate costs in the shop. And the plan would be also that you'll need to combine them to level up. I mean, the combined numbers may be a little different than the other cards, but in general, they should work like normal cards. So guilds, it's not just you buy one gladiator card and that's it. But you may choose to buy 4 different gladiator cards or 4 of the same one and level it up, and then everyone in your guild will have access to use those cards in battles, in guild brawl battles.
Level Up Life is asking, can you comment on liquidity pools? Are the incentives going to stay as a 50-50 split? Also, how's the new liquidity pool going?
Sorry, where are we? I kind of lost.
I'm at 9:32 a.m.
Nice.
Level Up Life, right above Jarvie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For now, there's no immediate plan changes to the Uniswap liquidity pools. We're still, waiting to figure out what the rewards structure will be for the diesel pool, and then on the Cub DeFi pool on Binance Smart Chain, the rewards are in Cub there. So, at the moment, it's just we're waiting to figure out the reward structure for the diesel pool, but otherwise, there's no plan changes right now.
The decentralized token fund is nearing completion. So hopefully, as that completes, we could actually do rewards now, but it's probably better to go have this work through the decentralized token fund and have players have some say in what these things look like. So I don't know. Once the code is ready, we can start figuring out how to implement it. And I'm betting there's a non-zero chance it's this week. It's probably more likely, like a week from today is somewhat likely. A week after that is more likely, and 3 weeks is nearly a certain yes. So we're not that far away. All right. Jarvy's asking, can you discuss your thoughts and updates on liquidity pools, especially or specifically so many people leaving the Ethereum pools?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess we kind of just talked about that, but I think for right now they're fine. There's a bunch of different pools on different platforms that give people the ability to trade dark energy crystals in a bunch of different places with reasonable amount of liquidity, which is the goal, which is what we're going for. So, there hasn't actually been like a ton of liquidity that left the Ethereum or the Uniswap pools. There's still $300,000 roughly of liquidity there, so that's significant between those two pools. And in general, people are going to move their liquidity around, based on the returns, which is also, to be expected. So I think right now there's 3 different platforms and 4 different tokens you can trade dark energy crystals against in liquidity pools, with, I don't know how much total liquidity combined there, but it's, well over $500,000, I think. So yeah, I think that's in a pretty good shape right now, and I don't see any major changes to it other than trying to get rewards for the diesel pool.
Yeah, diesel pools have had 443,000 swap.hive worth of trading volume, and at today's price, it's over $200,000 since it's been introduced, which that's a fair amount of trading happening over there. There's currently only $63,000 worth of liquidity there, but it seems like there's a fair amount of trading activity. So I think once the rewards are there and players have an incentive to park their hard-earned dark energy crystals and hive there, that we'll see that grow and become even more useful than it currently is. Which for like a brand new liquidity pool on a brand new platform, I'd say 200,000 in the first month or so is off to a pretty amazing start. There's a giant thing here by Blasted Zeus, and I'm not sure that I'm going to read this whole thing. I think it comes down to something like how do you help new players?
Yeah, so I mean, for a lot of it, we've been so swamped on development and all the things going on there, that we've kind of, we've let the community handle, because the community has been doing such a good job of helping new players and stuff like that. So I am totally open to the idea of having a channel in the Discord specifically for, newbies and suggestions and help for them. And, the Splinterlands team, I think, is open to supporting that in any way possible. I mean, from our perspective, from our side, one thing we put out blog posts on our blog with new stuff and information, but it's also hard to get, to go back and find what you're looking for if you're trying to find something that was posted like a year ago or 2 years ago, like, the launch post for dark energy crystals and how that works. So I am working with Chris Roberts right now on trying to put together like, not exactly a wiki, but just like one repository, one place that may sort of replace the FAQ in the game, that just kind of has everything there, just explains how everything works, from the cards and how to play to the different tokens, how to use them on the different platforms, all that stuff. So it's going to be a big project to kind of get all that content, migrated over and organized, but that can hopefully help. But in the meantime, yeah, any suggestions as far as like setting up new Discord channels or things to help new players, make educated decisions, I'm totally open to, at least, and we can support that however we can.
Some of that can't really come from us. Like, we can't tell you what cards to buy. That's not appropriate for us as a company to do. But maybe one of the things we could do is, as part of that room, pin some posts from experienced players that want to go write, how to get started in the Splinterlands. And less a tutorial on like how to use your keys or something, because Chris and Carrie have done some things to get that up and running. But more along the lines of like, what do you need to get started? How do you build a good bronze team? What are good cards to help you get into Silver League and get started there? So I don't know. There's a couple Mavericks that are in here that are good with wording and are familiar Hive people that could write some blogs. And if anybody out there wants to go write some suggestion posts for new users, I'm happy to get the new user channel started and then get some of those posts pinned into it so that people can go through and find some good ones. Matt is asking, would it ever be possible to uncombine cards that are over the last full level, like on the screen? I would guess a lot of people combine cards like that by mistake, or because they were combine all card buttons. They used the combine all cards.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that especially happened a lot more early on. There are definitely some cards that like got over combined. So I don't have a specific answer. I'd like to, do something for that. Whether it's have them be uncombined or just, be able to get, extra dark energy crystals out for that or whatever. But that's kind of a higher level game economy decision that is just not something I've really spent the time thinking about yet. So, again, it all comes down to priorities. So if that's something that's kind of like an important thing for a lot of players, as always, let us know, and then we can try to prioritize that higher. I think there was also a question above that from Draker97.
Yeah, I couldn't quite understand it, so it's a little bit hard to manage the things. But did you think about selecting the specific card to use during games?
Yeah, so he's asking about selecting a specific card versus it always, like if you have 10 of a certain card in the collection.
Yep, I get it now.
So yeah, that's something we've talked about a lot of times. It's something, we have no issue doing, but same thing as the previous question we just talked about. It's just a matter of, prioritizing that, which is, not necessarily that often used or required a thing. So again, we also try to prioritize heavily based on player feedback. So if it's something a lot of players would really like us to prioritize sooner, then we'll do that.
My hope is that in about 2 weeks, Cryptomancer is done building the first implementation of Guild Brawls. And, we'll want that to run for probably a month before making too many major changes, just so that we can collect information from the players about what is it that you guys want it to look like, what would be cool, what don't you like. And, like everything else in this game, everybody's going to have different opinions and they'll often be conflicting. But, hopefully we'll find some things that there's common overlap that we can implement. But that gives us some time where he's not pushed as hard as he can to get Guild Brawls out. And maybe we can get some of these cosmetic and smaller or minor things out that people have been asking for a while. And we've been saying, there's not really dev resources to do that. Well, we're going to have like some amount of in-between time here where maybe that fits. Does that sound reasonable, Matt, or am I off balance there?
Maybe. I mean, we're going to have to do the barracks and the gladiators and the shop and all that stuff. So that's going to be another big project. But, Cryptomancer also manages to do other little things here and there from time to time.
All right. So I'll put that solidly as a maybe. All right. I do like this question from Matt to Castles Clark. Rhetorical question. How incredible is Stampede? Yeah, Stampede is absolutely one of my favorite rule sets. It's just awesome. It brings back the good old days where you can, just destroy people. It's good times. Gattakus is asking, question, as a relatively new and unsophisticated user, what am I most likely underutilizing or not using at all regarding Splinterlands and its partnerships?
Well, I mean, I don't exactly know what you're utilizing or not. I think one of the things that many people are underutilizing is dark energy crystals, but that, you know, in the sense that like you can often get discounts on all the stuff you want to buy using dark energy crystals, and we try to promote that in pretty much every post that's related to that. But you know, that also does require some level of, you know, cryptocurrency trading knowledge, which is just unfortunately something, you know, we can't get around due to, you know, regulations and laws and that type of stuff. So, you know, if you're able to acquire other cryptocurrencies and trade them for dark energy crystals, you can often get discounts on things, which I think is underutilized or maybe unknown by a lot of players. But other than that, I'm not sure. I think that's a better question for the community than us, really.
What is the exact formula to calculate DEC price? Actually, I missed a question. Jarvis asking, whatever happened to cleaning up the Discord so there aren't dozens of channels to confuse people here on Discord? Yeah, I guess I think that got delegated to Biz and then we never talked about it. So I can look back at that. Yasik, or Jace KW, if you want to pronounce it incorrectly, is asking, what is the exact formula to calculate DEC price? Is it a weighted average based on Uniswap, the ETH and DAI pool, BSC and diesel pools? How does it all come together?
Well, right now it's the Uniswap pools and diesel pools. I haven't implemented pulling the price from BSC yet. And I have weighted the diesel pool a little more heavily, even though it has less liquidity. It's just like, I want to make the DEC price the actual price that most people can get for their dark energy crystals or be able to buy them. And the diesel pool currently is like the easiest and quickest way without ridiculous fees and, you know, all kinds of issues to actually swap your dark energy crystals. So that's the most accurate price. That's been a little wonky because the Hive price has been very volatile, which is what it's paired against. But I hope to get the BSC pool integrated also, which, you know, and as the Hive price settles down as it has, then the prices should settle down. But my goal always there is to have it be like, if you get a certain amount of dark energy crystals, you know, at a certain price for selling a card on the market or buying a card on the market, you know, you'll be able to sell them at pretty close to that price, you know, somewhere that's not Ethereum, and you don't have to pay $20 in fees at a minimum for the transaction.
Juno Kyo is asking, with the update in time length for champion players playing D1 players to increase match liquidity this past Monday, what is the amount of days per season this happens now?
Currently, it's set to just the last 3 days of the season. So champion players will be able to get matched with Diamond if there's no champion battles until the last 3 days.
So Shaquille is asking, how much input is needed from landowners, specifically with castles and other special land?
Well, input means, I guess, how like actively it's managed, perhaps, is how I'm taking that. So, you know, this is still very under design, but, you know, our goal is that a lot of things can be automated. And then, you know, it's up to players how much time they would want to spend, you know, micromanaging things if they want to, or making changes. But we want it to be a situation where it's kind of up to you, you know, how much time you want to spend on that stuff. And a lot of stuff, you know, you can set up as set and forget, although it may not be, you know, the optimal way of doing things. And then there's also the possibility to delegate or rent out land, you know, that you own to other people to manage more actively for you. and then have some type of split, or or you get paid for that, and they will earn whatever resources they harvest on the land.
Catechus is asking, it is incredibly frustrating in Bronze grinding up the rankings where it may take 10 battles to get 30 rankings, only to drop 36 points in rankings after losing one battle. Is this just a Bronze thing, or is it something I will just need to live with?
Well, it's definitely not just a Bronze thing. I mean, it depends. If you get matched up with and lose to a person that is, lower rating than you, then you'll drop a lot more for that, since it's an ELO rating system. So we're always open to ideas to make the rating system and all that stuff work more smoothly. But in general, and sometimes we've heard a lot of complaints about that stuff. In general, I haven't heard a ton recently, so I haven't really looked into the details of that. Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than we can look into that more if a lot of people feel that that's an issue.
We're getting to the end, so we should probably set the time for the next one. Are we just gonna do?
Yeah, typically we just go back to the normal time of 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, let me. Oops. Let me forward that to you. So 2 p.m. So we can do that. That'll be for Friday, April 2nd, which might be the beginning of spring break for a bunch of you guys. Hopefully you will be making smart life choices during that period. We're getting down to the last couple minutes here. We did run out of questions. Matt, is there anything? How do you feel about scaling these days? Like, where are we with the ability to keep growing? Have you run into any scaling problems yet with the game or its infrastructure?
I mean, at the moment, no. We're always doing work to just better handle when various Hive nodes have issues, and overall that's been handled a lot better. There's still some things that need to be fixed in certain cases, but as far as actually processing the transactions in the blocks fast enough, I mean, we're not anywhere close to that being a problem, at the current rate of play and at the rate of growth. But that's one of the big things that Call Me Tim's on board to help with, and figuring out the plan for 10 or 100xing our capacity.
Be a Cheetah and Win is asking, has it been decided what the rewards will be for contributing liquidity to the diesel pools? I'm going with not yet, but that's presumably dark energy crystals,
that's
right? That's going to be DEC.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we were talking about, there would potentially be B rewards that could be allocated to the pool or whatever. So I don't really know how all that's going to work yet. So that's why we're holding off on that. In the meantime, Splinterlands has provided a decent amount of liquidity.
Okay. Manser is asking, do you imagine diesel pools being used in some way for types of land resources once this land expansion is released? Will there be Hive Engine tokens for the various resource types?
I imagine there being AMM pools in the style of diesel pools or Uniswap. I don't know if it will actually use the diesel pools on Hive Engine, or will be our own implementation within the game. That will just depend on whether or not we want to do something potentially different than diesel pools do. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about there's going to be plans to be these pools for all the different tokens, that players can be involved in as far as providing liquidity, and then use to, so if you're getting a lot of wood and you need to trade it for stone, there'll just be an easy, simple in-game market without fees to do that. I think there will definitely also be Hive Engine tokens linked to the in-game versions of the tokens, just like there are for Dark Energy Crystals and every other token. And then diesel pools can be set up for that. I'm not sure if we would use diesel pools or just have our own in-game implementation for them, once that's live.
And the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive either. If they live on Hive Engine, they could be diesel pools, even if that's not the main interface for the game. Kyoka is, have you spent any time using the Splinterlands season report cards? What are your pros and cons if you have any constructive feedback?
I haven't used it for a while, and I haven't been all that active with playing because we've been so busy with development and other things. So I would look to the players that use it more for the feedback. But I've definitely seen a lot of people using it, and some people posting about the report cards. So it seems like people are liking it, and I think it's a super cool site or feature.
Blasted Zeus is asking, at what point will we start to see more regulation on bot use, or will we, as the community expands, their only use is free currency for going to the store, work, etc.? Yes or no?
I'm not sure I understand the part about the free currency, but I mean, we're not, as trying to be like an open and, decentralized product, blockchain-based product. We don't restrict who can or can't participate, right? Anyone that can publish transactions to the Hive blockchain in the proper format is able to participate in the game, and that's how it should be. So we're not planning on, regulating bots necessarily or stopping them, but we always want to make sure it's the case where bots are not having significant advantages over human players. So anytime that we see that to be the case, we try to work on, updating the system in a way that takes away that advantage. And ultimately, we'd like to have human players, have advantages over bots. And I think a lot of, initially the whole idea of the items and spell cards, which eventually blew up into the whole land expansion, was part of that, as it adds, an entirely another level of kind of skill element to the game. So you'll have to be able to evaluate the cards that your opponent has chosen versus your cards on the battlefield, and be able to choose what items and spell cards you want to use based on that. So, all that stuff will just make it, more difficult, I guess, for bots to pick the best combinations against human players. So that's kind of a longer term plan for, hopefully giving human players an advantage over bots. But we don't plan to really regulate them or stop them in any way.
Gattakus is asking, what types of questions would be best to ask you during these calls?
And then it's saying what's the most efficient use of our time. I mean, this is for you guys, so we want the players to ask whatever questions the players want to ask, and not what we want them to ask. I feel like since we kind of start these off with just us talking about stuff and what's going on, we will talk about all the things that we want to talk about at that point, and then it's up to what players want to ask.
My snarky answer is softball questions. You guys should ask softball questions, but I say that with snark. All right, so that brings us down to the hour. Any last words, Matt? Anything you want to put in there?
I don't know. You've mentioned at the beginning, March. January was a fantastic month. February was a better month. March is even significantly better than both of those. I have no idea what April and beyond is going to hold, but we have Guild Brawls coming out. We have a big new feature that we haven't, specifically announced yet that we're working on. We have, being able to claim the land in Q2. The iOS app was just released. We have new, Call Me Tim on board, and, potentially some more people coming on board over the next few months. So, just tons of stuff. Everything's going up and to the right. Really could not be more excited for the rest of this year.
Yeah, I echo that. And it's only possible because you guys are here supporting the game, playing the game, providing game liquidity, providing actual financial liquidity to the different pools. Like this game, it's a decentralized game, and we try to do everything to help the players, and the players are doing a lot to go help this game. I mean, we haven't changed dramatically all the different things that we're doing, but it's starting to really pick up. We're seeing, literally, if you go back, just a handful of months, if you go back to, Q4, we're seeing roughly 5 times the growth. Maybe it's 4 times the growth things are just dramatically speeding up, and it's picking up steam, and the game is growing, and it's reflected in all kinds of stats all over the network and the game, and it's just beautiful. And it's a testament to the players, your passion, you guys keeping us on our toes, you guys being welcoming to new players and participating. So kudos to you guys. This is only possible because the players are making it happen. And we're just happy to be here for the ride and able to go work on this thing full time so that we can deliver the coolest game in blockchain that we know how to build. So with that, thanks everybody. We'll be back at 2 p.m. next week. That's Eastern time. And I hope you guys have a splendid weekend. Many blessings of peace, prosperity, and freedom to you all. And we'll see you in the Splinterlands, and hopefully we'll crush you. Thanks, guys. Bye.